Yeah, my wonderful student James, he's in the ninth grader in one of the religious private school, and their school actually studies something very important for the Western civilization, a theologian called Saint Augustine. And why he's important, especially how he explained the decline of the Roman Empire. And James always studied deep stuff, and his school are teaching something in this AI age, something deep. And St. Augustine is a very important person for the last 2,000 years. James, enlighten me. Go.
Today, I will be talking about the life of Saint Augustine. So, when Saint Augustine was born, his mother almost died because of Saint Augustine moving around so much when she was giving birth. So crazy. Augustine almost killed his mother. It doesn't seem like a good start for a man who looks so good in our history. So, his mother manages to survive thanks to the doctors who were in the room. And then what is St. Augustine's father doing? He was gambling. Yeah, he was gambling. Okay, so St. Augustine, he starts growing up and he always has this dream of going to Carthage to study, except his mom is always so hesitant to do it. And his mom, dad, always get into arguments because his mom is a Christian while his dad is not a Christian. So like they kind of had some issues with that. Well, at the end, when his father died, he did get baptized. So at least there's a happy ending for them. Well, now back to St. Augustine. He eventually convinced his mom to go to Carthage, and his mom eventually was convinced. She is like, oh my God, my sweet boy would probably is right. He would benefit from going to Carthage. So she sent him there, and in Carthage, he was bullied crazy, and he started having like different types of philosophy where he doesn't really believe in God as much anymore, which is basically making his mother super angry when he goes back. So his mother and him are not happy at each other. And well, Augustine, yeah, it's not looking good for him either because after his trip from Carthage, he brought back a slave African girl, and he falls in love with her, except she's a slave, so like she wasn't able to marry him. And they did have sex and have a child, which is kind of like not a good image for him. His mother was like, this girl is really good. I think you should marry her. And like St. Augustine, of course he wanted to marry her, but like again, she was a slave, he couldn't marry her, and if he did, well, he would have to do it in secret. And eventually she ran away from him and left her child with Augustine because like his mother eventually found another lover for him. And just, well, she ran away because I guess she thought she was like a person who always like was just in his way of getting glory. At least that's what Augustine wrote in his book. And believe it or not, Augustine's book is 20,000 pages. Crazy. Like, bro wrote like so many pages, you can't even count. He went, St. Augustine obviously felt depressed. And so, well, he was always like so so like angry and well, not in a good mood. There was also this one time where him and his mother got into an argument again, where like his mother always kept on saying him being in this terrible mood is harming their family, except he's like, no, my dad is harming our family. He's always gambling our money away. And so eventually, Augustine, he became the emperor's voice. Crazy how he went from like arguing with his mother to the emperor of Rome's voice. I know. So him and the emperor, he actually started off very well. The emperor's mother was impressed because the emperor was still a little child when Saint Augustine was there to like get a good impression on the emperor. But like eventually he accidentally said something wrong about what he was trying to say about the emperor and Rome. And so he got ejected from being the emperor's voice and all. So then he went back to just having like not so good of a life, except the Pope took him in and made him the Bishop of Hippo. And some of you guys may know this. He just stayed there for almost the rest of his life in Hippo, where he almost died but was spared. Hippo was laid siege by barbarians, and the barbarians were slowly chipping away at the city. They even blocked their water supplies. Talk about overkill. And like Saint Augustine just tells them to stay calm, except obviously like you don't have any water. How could you stay calm? And so they eventually surrendered to the barbarians, and almost all of them were slaughtered. Their like buildings were burned, except for Saint Augustine's building, because the barbarians were always just like respected Augustine's philosophy of thinking Rome's like whole thing about just being so brutal is just like terrible. Saint Augustine always was like against the way Rome does things. Like most simple way to put it is, well, he thinks Rome is barbaric with like just marching straight the army and plundering cities just to get gold. He just thinks it's not the way that things should be done, which, well, he says that for almost everyone. Like our life, none of us are good, and well, failure is always upon us no matter what, which is kind of dark. But like at the same time, he is not wrong. And eventually he became one of the best bishops in Rome. Eventually, when Rome fell, Augustine, he was still like kind of against it, and he saw Rome falling as like the reason on why his philosophy was true. And eventually he died on his bed and was happy to see his philosophy was correct. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you all for listening.